Hello and welcome back to our coverage of the Africa Cup of Nations. I'm James Fassina, and over the next 25 minutes we're going to be going through everything that's happened on the pitches in Rabat, Marrakesh, Casablanca and Agadir today. And here with me tonight are Tando Sibia, good evening to you, and Karim Balde, good evening to you.
Hi,
Karim,
James.
good to see both of you. Plenty to talk about tonight. Let's not lose any time because the round of 16 fixtures are out, of course. They've been decided and those going through now know what awaits them in 2 days' time with the rest ahead of them, 2 days for them to rest. Here's first part of the round of 16 with the group stage having just wrapped up. And groups E and F were the last to finish, leaving us on our seats until the very last minutes as the teams fought for the very last and best places that they could get in their groups. And looking at the results from today, let's head first straight to Morocco, where Selina Sykes is on the line from Rabat. Selina, let's start with Algeria because they wrapped up a 3-1 win against Equatorial Guinea. Together with Nigeria, they're only just one of two sides who've managed to win all three of their games in the group stage. And the Fennecs fired in 3 goals in the first half before Emilio Nsoy pulls one back for Equatorial Guinea. Final score 3-1. And Algerian fans have been waiting for this kind of a performance for quite some time. Tell me, what was it like in the stadium in Rabat?
Well, James, the Algerian fans are out in force here in Morocco, and a very jubilant atmosphere among fans who could enjoy that spectacle with those 3 goals for the Fennecs against Equatorial Guinea. Fans in a very good mood, and they have a very good reason to be in a good mood. As you said there, James, alongside Nigeria, they are the only other team to have a perfect record in the group stages with 3 wins out of 3 and a maximum of 9 points. Algerian fans obviously now banishing the demons of their last 2 AFCONs when their side crashed out of the group stages, rock bottom of their group. The partying continued outside the stadium. We caught up with some fans there. I think we could take a listen to them now.
It gives me goosebumps every time I see Algeria playing. Even if this time there was nothing at stake because we already qualified, there was still magnificent fervour to see in the stands.
It was a real nice, pleasant game to watch. Algeria was playing without any pressure because we already qualified, so we could put the major players to rest. And we're really satisfied with what the substitutes did when they came in.
Yeah, completely changed the side there, Selina. What did you make of the game over there? Because that's the kind of result, of course, Algeria have been looking for quite some time. As mentioned, they've made it through winning with 9 points. What did you make of that?
Well, James, like you mentioned, this was a dominant performance from the Algerians, but a much changed side, a much changed squad, 9 changes in total in that starting 11, with Moussa replacing Riyad Mahrez, their Tasman, on the right flank. He had a very impressive game, might be giving the manager something to think about. He provided the first assist for the first goal from a corner with Balaid heading that one in the 19th minute. It was then Faraz Chaibi who then got the second goal in the 26th minute. A lovely shot from him before Ibrahim Massa made it free in the 32nd minute. Another header. He was unmarked. Moussa once again finding him with loads of space. Moussa getting his second assist in that match. He was deemed a man of the match, and with a good reason. Algeria really going for it in the first half. I have to remind you that they knew that they were already top of their group, so this could have sat back like other teams did when they knew they already had the top spot, but they really went for the first half, really overwhelming Equatorial Guinea as they went 3-0 up at the break. Equatorial Guinea did get their consolation goal with Emilio Nsoy getting one just 5 minutes after the break for that consolation goal, as Algeria took the foot off the gas a little bit, obviously probably already thinking ahead to that last 16 match, which will be against the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Yeah, taking the foot off the gas, as you say there. Karen, I'm going to come to you first. Petkovic, very clearly, it's about controlling the game early on. We've seen early goals come in once again this time round. Everything happening in the first half for Algeria. Is this the right move going forwards?
Yes, definitely, because they allow themselves not to be afraid during the game. And the main difference between today and the two previous Algeria games in this competition is that this time they managed to keep the pace for at least the first half of the game, because versus Sudan, they scored very early thanks to Riyad Mahrez, but afterwards, almost nothing in terms of producing, in terms of game making. For second game versus Burkina Faso, it was so-so in some part of the game, but today, it was better for the first half, even with substitutes, such as Aj Moussa, for example, such as Fares Chaibi, what a goal for Fares Chaibi today, and Ibrahim Maza, we will talk about it a bit later on, but yeah, they have quality, and this time, they were able to keep the pace, at least for the first half.
I think also bringing in the fresh legs, like Karim mentioned, if you have a Riyad Mahrez who's controlling the not just the mindset of the game, but also the tempo, he's creating the chances, he's leading the game. But if you bring in the fresh legs and the fresh minds without an outright leader, then it gives them the opportunity to bring in the creativity, the new way of thinking, and that's exactly what we saw today. It was a big risk, but it yielded some great rewards, yeah.
Yeah, Riyad Mahrez then indeed rested for today. He's got 3 goals to his name so far in the tournament. 7 goals in all for Algeria, four different goal scorers. As you say today, I mean, it was somewhat of a B team that they're fielding, but they have depth in this. This is what you want for a team to be going forward, of course, and Algeria looking very, very promising. I'm sure you'd agree.
Yeah, I definitely do. And I think we made a similar example with Morocco, that these are the sides that have a lot of depth. So if a certain dispensation doesn't necessarily work out, you know that the coach has options. And what better way to practice and try out these options when you're well ahead of the group and you know that you're already making it through the round of 16. And so you also have the time to take these risks and take the opportunities in a high tempo game, in an equally demanding game, and on the live stage of the tournament. So you can take something outside of training and actually field it on the live action. And that's when you can see that, okay, these guys can perform. And so if I'm willing to try some new combinations in the 2 days off for training, then I can actually try it and see if it actually works out. So we might be seeing some new combinations based on the results of this encounter. Karim, you look like you want to say something.
Yeah, Morocco, I agree with you. Morocco, Algeria, and I will put DR Congo and Senegal in this group of teams where no matter the players on the pitch, they can perform. And this is what we saw with Algeria, but that was the case with Senegal. And that wasn't the case with Ivory Coast. I know we'll talk about it in this show, but yeah, for Ivory Coast, they have to rely on Amad Diallo when he get into the pitch. Then it was better for Ivory Coast. So this is the main difference between the top 4 teams and the rest of a qualifying team for the round 16.
And in all of this, of course, it's only a first goal let in for Algeria so far in the tournament. Not even Luka Zidane, who was between the sticks today. He was replaced as well. So looking good for them in this side. Let's have a word, though, for Equatorial Guinea, of course. They're not going to move any further, but there was somewhat of a bright moment, especially for Emilio Nsue. What a stunning goal that he managed to pull back for the team.
Yeah, what a goal from Emilio Nsue. What a story, what a player, we should say, because
he's not had it easy coming into this tournament, of course,
yes,
with all the off-pitch issues about whether he should be playing in the team, whether he's allowed to be playing in the team. Just to remind, that's what he's been having to deal with coming up to this.
He almost announced his retirement like a couple of months ago, and now he's in the pitch. That's why it's just amazing, and we have to remember what he did at the previous AFCON in Ivory Coast, and we were together there in Abidjan and in other pitches to see that he was the best goal scorer of the competition, and that he was one of the main surprise of the competition, because against the host country, Ivory Coast, at that time, he performed well, and he was on the spotlight at that moment. So to see him coming back from nowhere and score this magnificent goal, even if Equatorial Guinea is out of the competition, but at least they scored a goal, and a great one.
What a way to bow.
I think this is where you also see the experience and how it matters in such games, because we're all talking about the goal. It was incredible, and I think it stands out as one of the best goals we've seen so far in this edition of the tournament. But did you see how he rallied up the troops after he scored that game? Like, just the roaring energy, just to say, guys, keep your head in the game, because a lot of them had their heads down. They had already given up, that it was done, we're out now. But I think he kept them in the game to say that, guys, if we're going out on a bang. And so when you have that kind of player, it's really important, whether you get knocked out at the earlier stages, but for the teams going forward in the rest of the tournament. So speaking about Riyad Mahrez, that yes, it was good that he was not there so that we could see some combinations. But when it gets to the serious games, and you have the young guns, 20-year-olds, who are now trailing in the game, you're going to need someone to tuck them back in and bring them into the game. So yes, he gets criticism on whether he makes the selection, but also you need that maturity on the pitch to then bring in, especially the young guns of the tournament. So shout outs to them. And Equatorial Guinea, maybe we can see them doing something in the next AFCON, perhaps.
But they will miss him with him expected, of course, to be retiring after this. For him, they're going to have to find some inspiration somewhere else. He's definitely shown what he can do. Let's take a look at all the results from today's games then. As mentioned there, Burkina Faso beating, meanwhile, Sudan 2-0, Gabon 3-2 against Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast getting that last-minute goal there. 3-2 was actually, we thought it was going to be 4-2, but it was last-minute goal that was ruled out there. Final score, that is there for the Elephants. And Cameroon, who managed to beat Mozambique. Let's just have a word, though, for Burkina. They needed to just avoid defeat to be able to go through as second of Group E. There they are, proudly standing with 6 points just behind Algeria. They got the 2 goals today and seem to be improving bit by bit. Karim, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Burkina Faso definitely a force coming in. It's not going to be easy. We'll have a look at the fixtures to come through, but they started off slowly, and today now they're building every game.
Yeah, Brahma Touré brought substitutes for this game, but they have some quality. On the first goal, Stéphane Aziski from Wydad Casablanca and Lassina Traoré. Lassina Traoré scored. He had an hamstring injury back in August with his club, and he didn't play up to this AFCON, so almost like four or 5 months out of any competition. And the way he was back for this AFCON is just brilliant on this side, and that's why it brings more hope to this Burkina Faso team, that because we see that they have solutions. Bertrand Traoré, captain, was on the bench. Danko Ouattara started on the bench. And despite that, they could win 2-0 without being worried versus Sudan. The only problem for them is injuries. Hervé Kofi, the goalkeeper, we talked about it in the show a few days before today, and he was injured today. We'll follow it before the round 16 game, and also Cyril Irié, so that could be 2 major blows for them.
Yeah, let's see how things go through. We'll be talking about them in just a minute. Moving on, Ivory Coast trying to switch things around. Goalkeeper again, Alban Lafont was in for Fana. Gabon took the lead after a very clumsy attempt of a save from Ben. Was that a right move for Ivory Coast? I mean, some teams have had the luxury of being able to rest their players. Ivory Coast wanted to do kind of the same thing, but as we were just talking, it was very, very last-minute affair for them as they had to turn things around.
Also one of the sides that came in comfortable knowing that they're going through to the round of 16. So you can make those changes. You can get your key players to get some rest, rehabilitation, a little bit of recovery here and there. And also, like I said, the same thing for Algeria, that you're trying out some new combinations. You get to have it on the field. So yes, the beginning wasn't so great, but I think the way that they came back into the game was where we can see that the mindset, even if it's the B team that came in, that they're able to stay in the game. And so you could even see Coach MS Faye during the game just keeping them in the game. And I think that quality is really important. He was looking a little bit frustrated because it seemed like it wasn't necessarily going as planned. So I do think it was unfortunate the way that they started, but kudos to them for staying in the game and capitalizing on the lapse in concentration or even just the fatigue of the Gabonese side.
Yeah, and good for them to be able to get that last-minute goal, because only until the last few minutes they were going through as further down, not at the top of their group. Mozambique were leading actually the group before. Early on in their game, there was a terrible own goal that happened in their match there. 2-1 in the end for Cameroon. Mozambique will be gutted. I mean, they've had success, of course. Yeah. But was that own goal, I mean, did that change things for them?
Yeah, it was incredible to see that own goal, because when we look at this goal twice, 3, 4 times, we say, how on earth could he put the ball in front of his own net, really, on the back on the back of his own net? Now it's better. But because, this tackle was unnecessary, in my opinion, even though there was pressure from Magri on that opportunity. But overall, Mozambique wasn't expected at that level of competition, because we thought that Gabon would finish third. So kudos to Mozambique to go through it. Kudos to the Mambas. And on the other side, to point out Cameroon's mindset since the beginning of the competition with David Pagou. Nobody knew him before the competition, and he brought some stability, some calm. And you don't hear about Samuel Eto'o, the Fecafoot president. Since the beginning of the competition, no word from Eto'o. You see him into the stands, but nothing. So that allows David Pagou to keep it calm. And that's why Cameroon was almost first of the group, but Ivory Coast made the job in the last minute of their game. So yeah, really good signs for Cameroon since the beginning of this AFCON.
Yeah, who knows? Cameroon, one of those sides you're never quite sure where they're going to be going.
Impossible n'est pas caméra, as they say in French. Impossible is nothing with Cameroon. You never know what to expect.
No, you clearly do not. Well, it's time to take a closer look then at the games to come. 16 teams deciding with their fate decided. Some are going to have a tougher challenge than others. Let's take a look at the first half of the fixtures. We've got Mali, who'll be facing Tunisia, while Senegal play Sudan. A huge success for Sudan to reach this stage. It was a tricky one for them today. They were bound to be facing a bigger team where they finished second or third. But Tando, how are they going to beat Senegal? Haven't had a win to go through. They've gone through with draws there. They haven't scored a goal. Their only goal coming through as an own goal against Equatorial Guinea. How can they do this against Senegal?
Sheer luck. Really. Because if anything, we've been speaking about the progress that Senegal has displayed in this edition. Also just the firepower that they have. We spoke about the sides with depth. Senegal plays a very attacking style of football. And so as a Sudanese defense, how do you even stop your Sadio Mane? How do you even stop your Kamara? How do you even stop, exactly, the likes of them? And the thing is, these guys do incredible runs down the flanks. So you're dealing with pace. You're dealing with very good dribblers. You're dealing with guys who have very good physicality. They know how to move with the ball. And even when they're off possession, they know how to organize themselves so that they regain possession. And so when you have an opponent such as that, as a Sudanese side who's just scraped it through the tournament into the last round of 16, it might be a little bit of a bigger challenge.
Yeah, Senegal are going to be all over them out of the back there. Well, meanwhile, Egypt will be facing Benin, and we've also got then Burkina Faso, who have their fate sealed there against the winners there from tonight's later group, Ivory Coast. The second half of the table, as mentioned, if we can take a look, is pretty difficult. South Africa, Morocco, Algeria, DR Congo are all grouped up in the second part just there. South Africa versus Ivory Coast, one of the biggest games. Sorry, South Africa, who will be coming up against the runners-up of Group F in the end, have a big challenge to come. Tando, South Africa, they've had a bit of a rest to come. Do you think they're going to be rested enough for times to come?
I hope so. Hey, Tyler, I don't know if you know Tyler, the musician. She has this expression where she says, yay. And that's the only thing I can say for South Africa facing Cameroon and even advancing in the tournament. I think also we saw the Christophe Kofane goal. If we have the South African defenders having to be dealing with such as an opposition, they have to really bring it in. But also looking at how they've been doing it in the AFCON so far, Hugo Broos seems to have a more defensive style of play, which is perhaps why South Africa haven't been performing as great as they're capable of performing. If you have a front line of Foster, Nkota, maybe even, say, for example, Evidence Makgopa as a number 10, do it. Take the risks. You have Makgopa with the aerial advantage, and so he can take the set pieces. He can make something happen. It's just also the pace and the running down, the creativity in the midfield. I think defensively there might be a little bit of criticism coming from South Africans altogether, because they're not necessarily happy with the pairings that he's been making. So you also have Relebohile Mofokeng, who's been on the bench, who can come in and actually change or transform the attacking structure, So I do think that there's a couple of changes that he can make. Nkosinathi Sibisi, I mentioned, in the defense. Then he could support Aubrey Mudiba and Mudau, who have been doing really well so far. So I do think that just one or two changes can be made so that they can hold their weight against Cameroon, because I don't think it's impossible. So I know that impossible c'est pas caméra,
exactly.
But possible c'est stuff, So I don't know. I think it's possible, but they have a little bit of work to do.
Yeah, it's going to be a cracking game to watch anyway. Karim.
Yeah, impossible n'est pas caméra, and Hugo Broos knows it because he won the AFCON back in 2017 with Cameroon.
Exactly.
And nobody expected Cameroon to beat Egypt, Mohamed Salah's Egypt in final, and the squad he had at that moment wasn't the best at all, because they had great generations. That wasn't the case in 2017. So that's why Hugo Broos knows quite well why he should worry about the Indomitable Lions.
About what's coming up against him. Indeed. Well, there's another team, of course, that's got a lot of pressure on them. Morocco, they have to perform. Home nation. All right, they've got this far. They've got Tanzania coming up next. Let's just take a listen to what their manager, Walid Regragui, has to say ahead of the home nation's first knockout game. Here's the manager.
Il y a une nouvelle compétition, l'Iratibda.
Now a new competition is about to begin. It won't be easy because anything is possible for us as well as for everyone else. We'll stay humble, compete, and try to go as far as possible because it's a dream we all share.
All right, Selena, over in Morocco there. As mentioned, they're taking this, well, as Regragui says, they're taking this very, very seriously. They have to, though. Morocco have underperformed in previous tournaments. They've got to win this one coming up for them against Tanzania.
No pressure, right, James? So much expectation on this Moroccan side, as you said. They've always been favourites as of late, but have underperformed at AFCONs, and this one on home soil. For a lot of fans here, it has to be the one. So much expectations, high expectations. Obviously, they came into this competition with a long string of wins. That ended, obviously, with that 1-1 draw against Mali. 19 consecutive wins ended there. That was their first big test at this AFCON. Obviously, they won their opener against Comoros 2-0. Then they got the fans back on their side with that 3-0 win over Zambia, admittedly against a weaker opposition. But as Regragui mentioned in that soundbite there, James, this is tournament football, and the winners are rarely the ones that do best in the group stages. This is a month-long competition, and knockout football is a very different game. This is a side with a lot of big stars, a lot of options. Probably along with Senegal have the strongest squad on paper. A lot of pressure here. Obviously, Morocco, everybody's waiting for that second title, their first title since 1976. A lot of expectation here in Morocco, and obviously we can expect on home turf the fans to get more and more behind the Atlas Lions as they do advance into the competition. We will expect, obviously, them to win quite comfortably against Tanzania, but it is tournament football and anything can happen. So obviously the pressure is on the Atlas Lions to get that win and to advance further into the competition, James.
And an Algerian fan also hoping for a good round of 16 to come. Just behind you there, Selena. Carrie, I'm just going to come to you speaking about Algeria. We've talked about them before. They have got a rough road coming down to them. If we just look at the round of 16 coming up and after that. So Algeria, DR Congo, there could be Nigeria for them. After that, they could be the host nation again. Wow.
Yeah, we are all eager to see what will be up in the round of 16 and onwards. I put a gamble on DR Congo, to be honest with you, because I think that this is the most underrated underdogs of this competition. So that's why for this round of 16 versus Algeria, I think that Sebastian de Sabre's side can provoke a major surprise. But still, Algeria was very strong in this group stage. And with one player, we didn't talk about him too much tonight, but Ibrahim Maza, because he was the guy of the situation. He didn't have so many games with Algeria. He's 20 years old only, but since he progressed with Bayer Leverkusen in Germany, well, the whole people of Algeria is always expecting him to be in the starting 11. And today, he scored. He made a great assist as well. So that's why this is maybe the new star of this team after Riyad Mahrez's retirement.
Tando, you want to come in from there?
Yeah, I agree, because this is a conversation we had earlier on, like what's happening at Bayer Leverkusen right now with all the signings that they've made this year, and Mazo being one of them. And he got his first brace earlier this year in a game against Heidenheim. It was 6-0 that they won. And at the time, he had only had 2 international caps with Algeria. So that goes to show that just this year, this guy had only had 2 caps, and he comes on and he performs the way that he does. So, as everyone has been saying in the tournament, inshallah, that he doesn't get any injuries, so that he can actually see a fruitful career. Because I do think that if all goes well for him, when he goes back to his club, they can field him a little bit more. He gets a little bit more game time, a little bit more experience. He learns the game, different ways to play the game. And I think also if something's cooking over there at Bayer, I just think that it can be more impactful for the player himself. Or otherwise, apparently the scouts are here looking for, Barcelona scouts are around, and we could see a potential move, you know, for the player. So I do think that, imagine seeing Mazo being fielded with Lamine. That would be really nice, you know, Yamal. So I do think that for a player's confidence, that would do a lot. And then also taking him back home then in the national side. So if you're getting that much experience abroad and then you come home and then you find the synergy with the side and you just develop a little bit more, you might be onto something. This might be the next Riyad Mahrez or even better.
Oh, I'm sure we can all agree it's been a very interesting group stage that we've had this time around. Some pretty crazy turnarounds and games, good goals, good moments, and just excitement, I think, for the time to come, especially with some teams who've been able to rest, as we've seen a lot of potential. Look, I mean, we're halfway through the tournament. I know you'd had some predictions going through forward. You feeling any team in particular standing out, Tando, for you?
As the tournament overall winners?
Yes, at this point.
You know what? At this point, I'm still going with Morocco for now because of the way that they've been playing. DR Congo,
I'm
something's
not ruling
cooking.
DR Congo out.
Yeah.
Senegal, I'm not ruling them out. So maybe we can say semi-finals. Okay, those are my three. And maybe I want to see, after the round of 16, between Nigeria and South Africa for my fourth side. Because if South Africa can do it against Cameroon, then I think they can do it against anyone.
They can keep going. Karim.
Yeah.
I stick with DR Congo because they have great players such as Theo Bongonda, for example, and others, and Mesha Kelia, and they all performed quite well in this group stage. And they built this team. They have built this team for the last 4 years, and this one could be the one for DR Congo.
It would be an incredibly quick rise.
Yeah, justice de Dieu, as said the captain, Charles Bemba, yeah.
And it would be a very, very fast rise and very, very impressive. All right, well, we'll be back in 3 days' time now, a little rest. Enjoy the rest, both of you. And to you all back home, we'll be back here and in a couple of days then to talk all about the rest of the start of the knockout rounds. And in the meantime, wish you all the best for the new year to come and see you in a few days. Bye-bye.